Back in there. Record. Okay, everyone, welcome to the Sydney and New South Wales Country Rugby podcast. And we continue our special episode 3 of the Subbies. A huge welcome to the President of Northern Saints, Dave Kerr. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Greg.
And Tristan, the head coach of Northern Saints. Great to have you here, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so and welcome, Matt, the great duck man. How are you?
Yeah.
Nearly forgot you.
That's all right.
So, guys, yeah, just really appreciate you coming on tonight. We just wanted to get to know your club. Obviously, you know, I know a little bit about your club because my mate Chip Carroll coached there a couple of years. I actually went there about 4 or 5 years ago for a Friday night game. It was a really good night, actually. Give us a little bit of your history. A lot of people have asked me, like, curious on the name change. If you could just rehash that for us.
Yeah, certainly. So first of all, thanks for having us. We're pretty happy to be here and talk about rugby. We obviously were previously St Ives Rugby Club. We were a rugby club which was formerly an all-inclusive club with juniors and seniors. We've been around for about 60 years. In that time, we've been in first division, we've dropped down to second division, third division, we've gone back up, we've won premierships, we've had tough days. But in more recent times, we had a few struggles. 2 years ago, we sat down and sort of had a think about what the future is looking like for us. Running a club which is juniors and seniors is pretty difficult from a management perspective. So we had some conversations about what it would look like to separate junior and senior rugby and what that would mean for our senior club. So out of that 2 years ago, we thought we would carry on our history with a new name. And the Northern Saints were launched. So what that really gave us an opportunity to do was build on what we had, a really strong history and a great old boys network, get a committee which was run by the players for the players. Some of our really strong points that we're focused on is Colts. We brought back a Colts program over the last couple of years. We've recruited quite well in that regard. We've made our events on match day as fan friendly as they can be. So Ladies' Day last year, for instance, we had 100 ladies up here. For subbies level, that's a decent crowd. Previous years you're lucky to get a handful. We made some really good partnerships. So one of our committee members, our Secretary Steve Williams, he's a medical researcher for the Child Medical Research Institute, which is Gene for Gene. Last year, you can see the jersey behind us. We had the world's first denim round for a sporting event. So we partnered with Gene for Gene and printed off a special denim jersey for that round and raised close to 10 grand for that charity.
Amazing.
We've tried to make a model where sponsorship for local businesses is a two-way street. So instead of walking around with our hands out asking for support and offering nothing, we've tried to partner with businesses that we can return it. We're fortunate to have, if you come in now, after game matches, probably the best after game feed in rugby. We're sponsored by Charlie or Charlie, so after every match we chuck on a feed. Fortunate enough to have connections through Young Henry, so our bar's stocked with some of the best beers and subbies. So everyone has a really good time up here at the clubhouse. And then it was really, giving everyone a voice so that we can continue to do things that players wanted. Our fees are on the way down, not the way up, which is contrary to most clubs. Our player numbers are on the way up, not on the way down, which is again something that we're really focused on. Taking some non-traditional routes of paying for some Facebook advertising, paying for some Google AdWords to get the name out there, setting up meetings at the local centres and just getting some community awareness and partnering with the right groups, hopefully attracting good blokes, and good blokes turn into good rugby players and we all have a good time.
That's it. Sounds great, mate. Really impressed with what you're doing. You yourself, Dave, you were still playing a couple of years. Are you still playing yourself?
Yeah, I'm still playing. So one element that's different for us is we're a pretty youthful management committee. I think I'm the oldest bloke on the management committee, which is abnormal. But another focus we have is, it's a good segue to lead in, is Tristan. So we've brought Tristan on board this year as our head coach, and I'll let him fill you in with where he's headed. But Tristan was an ex-player here again, useful coach, really keen to get love back into the game, and I'll let you just give you a bit of a spiel on what he's about and where he's going to take us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Dave. Again, thanks guys for having us on tonight. Looking forward to sharing our club with everybody out there. Like Dave said, I'm an ex-player of the club, played here for a lot of years. I almost reached my 200 games and then injured myself being a silly player in the ruck, but that's rugby for you. I stepped away from the club for a couple of years, just didn't want to watch footy because every time I did, I wanted to get back on the field, and somehow I just kept re-injuring myself. But now I'm back, and with a love for the club that I've always had, and I just want to help the boys improve, make training fun again, not just a chore to get up here every night and run laps and do things like that. So we try and have a lot of fun with what we're doing. As a coach, my experience is quite limited. I've spent a fair bit of time coaching junior teams. I went on an under 14s tour with St. Ives, coached under 11s, under 12s, 15s, all the way the same side all the way through. Then spent a bit of time coaching here and helping out with the Gordon Colts for a bit, and then came back here to try my hand looking after the big boys, and so far really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a false start with the whole COVID-19 saga, but we're all back up here. We're having good numbers at training, and looking forward to kicking off the season round 2.
Yeah, sounds good. So just for the people out there, like obviously, it's well known, one of the attractions for players to subbies is the social side. You guys obviously put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, we put plenty. Look, when I was a player, one of my favourite things about playing at St. Ives was the social side. Gets a bit out of hand sometimes, but I mean, what Subbies Club doesn't. It's a lot of fun up at the clubhouse. Like Dave said before, we've probably got the best clubhouse in Sydney, in Subbies, probably better than a lot of shoot shield clubhouses. We are blessed with it, and when we invite other teams up here, we have plenty of good times, and teams that do visit us can't wait for next year to be able to come back up, because it is such a good clubhouse, good place to have a bit of fun. But like Dave said earlier, we're trying to make everything a little bit more fan friendly. A lot of the guys that were playing previously now have got married, had kids, etc. We're trying to open the club up to a more family friendly environment, as well as trying to have those subby standard social events.
Yep, no, sounds good. What do you got, Matt?
So you're in a strong area from a rugby point of view. There's a lot of clubs in your area, strong clubs too. Where are you looking at draw on from your players? Just in mainly the St. Ives area, or you like filtering into Wakehurst, Terry Hills as well, sort of down on the Northern Beaches a bit, or are you pretty centric around St. Ives and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question, actually. That's one of the big drivers behind partially the name change. So as a club, other than the Colts who still the folks, we only have about 2 or 3 players that actually live in St. Ives. So one of the drivers of the name change was really looking at the sort of club we were, and the centre of our playing group is actually down at Macquarie. So, we have players as far as the Northern Beaches. We have a lot of players in the inner west. We have players out west. We have players from the Shire and Blue Mountains. So we are a quite diverse group from a wide range area in Sydney. So our draw, it's from everywhere, but we're taking a stronger focus on relationships with junior clubs. So previously, when we were one club, everything was about St. Ives Juniors, and we have a fantastic relationship with them. And we run clinics for them on weekends, and we send our players down to help coach junior teams, and we have a fantastic relationship there. But we're also starting to reach out to some of the other village clubs and see what we can do there to build up that. We don't have an affiliation with a school, so we're not like an old boy. We we get that feed. So, it's all about building community partnerships where we can give something to the junior clubs, and hopefully they, identify with the Northern Saints brand being, most junior clubs are tied to a suburb. Being the Northern Saints team, I think it just gives people that feel that, they're not cheating on their junior club by coming over to St Ives. They're, joining the local subbies team. But as you said, there is some really strong clubs in the area. It is a fiercely competitive market here, so we have to do things different. But our player numbers are going up while a lot of clubs are going down. COVID-19 and the shutdown really hurt a lot of clubs, but before we could even get back onto the pitch, we had a lot of engagement with our guys. We've been running campaigns throughout the whole period about getting old boys activated and putting up old pics and grand final videos, running a support the local businesses campaign, giving away some merch for that to help the local businesses, encouraging our wider network to use them. We've been running Zoom training sessions throughout the lockdown period to keep people engaged. On socials, we're really active as a group. So everyone was chomping at the bit trying to get back on the paddock. And that's probably why our players' numbers are up, not down. And season 2020 take 2 is looking pretty good for us.
Yep, sounds good.
So you're fairly young too, Tristan. Does that help with the engagement with the players you've got, or do you feel that can be a bit of a barrier because you're still fairly close in age and would have played with some of these guys, and that's a bit of a hazard? Like, I coach myself. I'm coaching second grade out at Hawkesbury Valley, and I haven't played with any of these guys. So all the guys I used to play with all retired, and they're just kicking around in old boys now.
Look, initially entering into the position, that was a concern of mine, that I would feel maybe a bit, maybe not be able to come down on the blokes, maybe just almost feel like there was maybe not a lack of respect, but there was not that sort of seniority position that I'd be walking into. But the guys up here are a great bunch of blokes. A lot of the guys, you'd think that I'd played with most of them, but the guys that I'd played with, most of them have moved on. Wives, families, kids, that sort of thing. There's a lot of young guys coming up here. There's probably in the 2-year hiatus I had from the club, 90% of the players changed, which is probably not awesome for keeping how we kept guys around back when we were St Ives. But as the Northern Saints, the guys that come up, I've got no issue coaching them. I join in the training sessions with them. We make it fun. We have a lot of fun when we're up here. It gets a bit silly sometimes with the carry on that we have, but mate, it's nothing but good fun, good drills. Make sure the boys are enjoying themselves, because otherwise they're not going to come back next week.
That's right. Yeah, it's good. So just before, just a couple of things I want to ask you guys. But the first thing was, let's delve into the history of the club a bit. Am I right? The club started in 1955. Is that right? I think I was doing some research. I think it was 55.
Yeah,
50.
around that. We celebrated a couple of years ago. So.
And so, run us through, off the top of your head, like you said, the club has been in most of the divisions in their history. Like, can you run us through some of the highlights in that?
Yeah, so I'm not old enough to know all the divisions, but we've got hanging up around the clubhouse. We've got a 76 Kent World Championship. We've got a 86 Burt Cup. Our last one in 2001, we won a Kent World. Second grade Colts, 2005, second grade also that year, grand finalists.
2000, I think it was 2012. We won third grade in Colts, and we've had a fair amount of success across the board. We were a very strong Div 1 club for a long time, and then we settled into quite a strong position in Division 2 for many years. And then, unfortunately, with the St Ives brand, we were losing players due to being considered a St Ives club. But we have the reach to other areas, and with the rebranding to Northern Saints, we're picking up those numbers. But unfortunately, with the fall of those numbers, we had to fall through the divisions. And look, we're playing 4th Division rugby now. We've got a chance this year to really turn some heads in that division. Really looking forward to it. I mean, like Dave said, everyone's keen to get out there. History-wise, though, we probably didn't do our fair share of research coming into this to give you more.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's no worries. So on last year, so what was the year last year? You obviously you got relegated from last year.
So yeah, last year was our first time ever in this division. So previously we spent 3 years in Div 3. 3 years we spent in Div 3. Before that, we were probably in Division 2 for about at least 10 years. As I said, it's been a 10-year demise, as rugby has been across the board. And I think we as a club lived on the glory days for a long time and just kept hoping for the tomorrow to get better. And over the period when you're hoping for tomorrow to get better and it's slowly washing away, you lose old boy network and you lose 1 or 2 players each year, and you pick up a player here or there, but I think the biggest turning point was the year we didn't have enough for a Colts team, and then moving down into Div 3, where not every club had Colts. That was a problem as well. It leads you to that point where you start to get too many players on the wrong side of 30 and not enough players on the right side of 25, and you have a 5-year period where it's really tough. I think at the end of that now with 2 years of good Colts age recruits. So over the next 5 years, as those our Colts team, their first year together, most of them were 18 or 19. So, in subbies, the Colts at 21. So, they got 3 years together as a Colts outfit, which is really handy for them. Playing, some of them played grade last year at 18 and 19 years old. So that was really galvanising for them. So they were all pretty excited to play with the seniors, and we took them under our wing and taught them all the ropes, let them enjoy themselves. Taught them a lot about our history and our culture. We have old boys come up. Last year, one of our home games, we had one of the old boys who's a Vietnam vet came down into the sheds and got the boys up and told him what it's like to be in the trenches fighting for the bloke next to you. And that was a really good story. We've got old boys who are going through some pretty tough health moments. They come up here and present jerseys and inspire the boys. So, we're really lucky as a club to have that network, and that network's growing again. People are interested in the club. We're heading upwards rather than downwards, and when you're heading upwards, everyone wants to be a part of it. So that's helping us. We've been fortunate enough this year to be as part of last year as well of the restructure, to have enough money to pump some money into the clubhouse. We've turned our honour boards into digital honour boards. We've got a memorial wall with lots of all the photos rotating. We've got a massive 70-inch TV now where we can watch live sports up here as a group. Our bar's a proper bar. It's not just a table with an esky. We're a raised clubhouse, so we've got a big balcony. In the next couple of weeks, all our outdoor furniture is going to be delivered, and we're going to get some more umbrellas out there. So fingers crossed they ease the restrictions and let us have some crowds this year, because like all clubs, we need bums on seats to make money. We're not heavily reliant on sponsors, and we're not heavily reliant on player fees, because we're bringing player fees down, so that's not a barrier entry. So what we are heavily reliant on is the success of our bar and canteen sales. So we pump money into the clubhouse, hoping that we have this great community asset, and everyone should be down here supporting the team that supports their community.
And I can definitely say we've seen a rise in supporters on the balcony last year. It was nice to see, even in an unsuccessful season, results-wise. I think we were very successful financially and very successful with player recruitment. It was a very good rebuild, or not even a rebuild, a very good building year for the new Northern Saints.
Yeah, so when you look at obviously, we want to get on the field, but say we get on the field, it looks like possibly a half season. So are you guys really looking at this to be a year to capitalise and hopefully get back into third division?
Yeah, so Subbies is an interesting comp this year. We're not sure who's even going to be in fourth division. You know, Balmain came down 2 divisions into fourth division. Brothers has dropped down. Do they what their team's going to look like? We don't know. Other teams in our division, you know, Sydney are a heavy. How's COVID hurt them? We don't know what this division's going to look like. You know, Harlequins have gone up from middle of fourth in our division last year, so that's good. But look, our goal is to get the numbers up so that we have a competitive squad. If it means moving up this year, that's great. If it doesn't, and it's the next year or the year after that, as long as we're heading up, we're not focused on what division we play in. We're focused on just having a great club with great guys, and everything else will work itself out.
Yeah, and I think with that, as a goal for the season, regardless of how short the season may end up being, I think a successful season for us will be, like Dave said, getting the players out on the paddock, having a lot of fun while we're out there, and hopefully seeing some good results. But the season's goal's not set on us moving up a division. I think if we can become a successful club in fourth division for a couple of years, then that's good for us, and then take that next step to third division once we're ready to go play with the boys up a division, and when we're moving that way, then that'll be our goal. But I think our goal for success at the moment is definitely building the club another step on from last year, and adding hopefully some better results.
Yeah, because one thing I think is unique in subbies, like even in Shoot Shield, they tend to be more focused on short-term results. You know, like you guys, it sounds like you guys want to build something that's sustainable, and that's really good.
Yeah, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Rugby, from every level, needs to be all about rugby. You know, winning grand finals is fantastic, and we've got plenty of flags. That's great, and being a part of those teams, I'm sure it's fantastic to hold that flag up. But at the end of the day, winning a grand final and the club capitulating the next year because you brought in a bunch of mercenaries, or you just had a lucky year, it doesn't help the club at all. Every time we lose players to other codes, AFL's really strong in our area, soccer's really strong in our area. We lose those players; they never come back to rugby. At the end of the day, everyone should be focusing on putting good news stories out there about rugby. You know, our club has plenty of good news stories last year. You know, none of our players did anything stupid. We partnered with the right people. We raised money for charity. We had success. We've helped guys who left school playing rugby and had a few years off and thought they'd never play rugby again, met us and realised actually playing rugby where there's something to be part of and want to come there and be part of what that organisation is doing is what kept them in rugby. And yes, we don't have Shoot Shield level players who are professional sports stars, but we don't come here and take the piss. We still play to the best of our abilities. We work hard, we train hard, and we have fun. Shoot Shield could also take that same mentality. The only difference is they have professional players who are also athletes. But if you build a model with athletes, the same sort of model, then you keep those guys and you continue to build. Rugby grows. If you don't, and you're all about winning, and it doesn't matter about anything else, I think rugby shrinks.
Yeah, and I think
exactly right.
We're hoping to be competitive, but at the same time, we're a social rugby club. We really get enjoyment out of the social side of things. The coming up to footy training, working hard while we're on the paddock, and then coming up to the clubhouse for a beer afterwards. We get the barbecue fire nights. It's those little things that we value the long-term prospects of the club a little bit more than the short-term. Yeah, it's nice to hang another flag up on the wall, but it's also nice to know that we're going to come back next week and next year, and we're still going to have the blokes around, your mates that you build here. Some of the best mates you'll ever make in your life. So I think from that point of view, we are focused on more of a long-term goal. But like I said, we do also want to remain competitive.
As you guys would have noticed, last year being in fourth division, first year down in fourth, which is unfortunate. It's been a bit of a tough sell probably for a 7 or 8 year period down in fourth division. Hasn't been fielded every year just due to numbers being up and down and all over the place. You would have experienced it last year. Plenty of sides would only put 2 sides on a paddock against you. So have you been using your Colts as Colts, or you've been using them as a backup third grade side?
Yeah, so that's you're spot on. That's a good question. So this year we're only going to 2 grades. There's no third grade at all. They've dropped it out of the competition. Colts playing standalone Radford Cup. So unfortunately, that means you play against Mossman and colleagues' second Colts team. You play against Wollongong Uni, who put a Colts team in. But I think the misconception that people think about falling to 4th division is all of a sudden you come down, you're playing against all these weekend warriors who are, just it's a bit haphazard. But 4th div, as far as the people, fantastic. Canterbury come up here and we have to almost kick them out because they want to hang around our clubhouse and have some Childhood Charlies with us and a few beers and a chat. Sydney Irish, I think, there's probably a couple of blokes that are still here from last season. They wouldn't leave. So it's a really community-centred division. The standard is quite good. Harlequins, I think, are going to shake up 3rd division. They had 3 strong grades last year that they didn't have a Colts, so it's to their detriment, and that's probably why they can't go any higher. But they're going to dominate in 3rd division. Let me tell you, they might have been in 4th division for a long time, but they've got some really good players. So I don't think the standard, especially in 1st grade, changes too much between the divisions. 1st division is probably a different story, but 2nd, 3rd and 4th division, the 1st grade teams are pretty consistent. We just don't have the player numbers. So we're not 120 players deep. So we don't have that depth through the 3 grades, but it's still competitive. And as far as Colts, I'd love to see subbies bring in a 2 grades and Colts division. They've never had one. They don't have any plans to, but it would be fantastic. A lot of clubs are only big enough for 2 grades, and I think we should be pushing towards Colts. Colts is the future of rugby, and I think everyone should be out there trying to find Colts. We didn't have Colts 2 years ago. We worked hard, and now we do. So it can be done. For the clubs out there who say, I haven't got a Colts and it's too hard to do.
Definitely doable. You just got to convince them to come up here, and when there's one that comes up, generally they've got 3 or 4 mates to drag up. So just keep working on the Colts, and the numbers follow.
Yeah, so that's what it's all about, isn't it? Like that's like my experience. Even when I played, like I was playing league and I just went and played rugby with some mates, and I didn't know nothing about it. But I tell you what, once you play it, you're full in love with it. It's probably you guys' experience as well.
Yeah, definitely,
100%.
So you have very strong community engagement, I imagine, like a lot of the northern suburbs and northern beaches sides do, and the community really buy into it. They come out and watch the games. They get into what the club does. I'm sure you really have a strong emphasis on that. That's why you have such a big focus on your canteen, and you have like a very, very well-known social activities that happen at the game. The Gap and Back, as mentioned before you kicked it off, I knew about it, known about it for about 20 years. So haven't participated in it yet, but would like to, you just can fill us in a bit more. That'd be good for everybody to know about. So what it is, what it's all about.
So the Gap and Back is a bit of a folklore up here at the clubhouse. I can give you a little bit of a demonstration for the team. So as you see in our roof, it's a nice pitched roof with some players, as they have a few too many sherbets, think it's monkey bars. So they do the hand over hand up to the centre and down to the other side activity. So it looks a lot easier than it is. It's pretty steep, and it's not the one of the sharpest things to grab onto. We have 1 or 2 players who make it look easy, and everyone else who tries usually ends up on the floor.
It's a pretty big drop. It's easily 2 and a bit meters that you're falling down, so you can do some damage. But it's one of the things that we do up at the club. We have a bit of fun. Every club's got their I suppose their little activity that they try and convince silly visitors to do. Ours is the Gap and Back, and you get to write your name on the wall after you're done if you do it. You get to be...
Prior to renovations, you used to. The wall of fame is white now.
It's always great. Like I always love those unique after game things, and I have actually been up to your clubhouse. As I think I was saying before, I went to a Friday night game about 4 or 5 years ago when Chip was coaching there, and it was always a great environment. That was one of the best nights I've been to. Like a Friday night game was fantastic. It was freezing cold, but I tell you what, it was a good night.
Yeah.
Have many of those?
It was good fun.
So we've tried a couple of times to do other Friday night games, but it's difficult to get clubs to buy into it. But it's fantastic. We got a really big crowd up here that night for our level of rugby. People coming past on a Friday night, see the lights on. We're on Monavale Road, so it's quite a busy road. They see the lights on, see some footy being played. They pull in and they cheer and have a couple of drinks and get into the barbecue and get involved. So yeah, moving forward, we'd love the opportunity to do some more Friday night games with people, and see where that goes. But we have to do whatever we can to get people loving rugby again.
That's right. So just touching on a bit of another issue. So do you guys have any link anymore with Gordon at all, or is that pretty much fallen away?
So I wouldn't say we have a link or don't have a link. What's happened is we have contacts there, and there's old boys who are coaching there who used to be coaches for us, and there's ties. I think it's just a matter of everybody just they're trying to do, and with the constant bad news about rugby, everyone's in a panic mode where they're all got their heads in the sand and sort of just hoping for the best. But I think it would be fantastic to have a stronger link with all Shoot Shield clubs. I think there's definitely a program that the Shoot Shield and subbies could work together to grow rugby. Everyone thinks we're competing products, and for some reason that Shoot Shield clubs wouldn't send their players to subbies because it's the worst thing that could ever happen, and subbies players don't want to go to Shoot Shield because it's too serious or whatever. But when you have two products like that complement each other, you can build those relationships to make things work. It just takes a little bit of work up front. We tried it a couple of years ago with Colts. It sort of just fizzled out a little bit, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the system. It was just execution, and like everything, you shouldn't give up just because the first time you try it fell over. It's just finding ways that we can benefit each other. We're definitely open to that. We've had chats with some of the other subbies clubs in the areas and trying to build relationships with them, because at the end of the day, we think anyone who's keen to play rugby should be able to have a game on a weekend, whether that's in subbies, in Shoot Shield or whatever. Everyone is going to love rugby more playing it, not standing on the sidelines watching. So whatever we can do to help those clubs, we'd be more than happy to do, and whatever they could do to help us, we'd be appreciative of what that could be. So whether that's Gordon, Norths, Warringah, Marlins, whoever wants to come out and build a relationship with us, we're open to it.
Yeah, because it's something we've sort of during this series we've talked about, and one thing I'm passionate about is that I think that divide between Shoot Shield and subbies, I think it'd be a great time to get back together, like maybe even like the old second division. We could maybe form something like that again, and I think it would make, like you say, I think it would make the game stronger, because we shouldn't be competing.
Definitely something needs to be done to make the game stronger. I think it was touched on earlier, we're in such a fierce market competitive wise with local clubs. We've obviously got Gordon, Eastwood as the Shoot Shield clubs around us. Warringah's just down the road. Then just local teams are within 10 Ks of us. You've got Bob's, Knox, Linfield, Lakehurst, Chatswood. I mean, I could keep going on. The market for rugby players in subbies is not deep at all. And I think if we could create some sort of partnership with Shoot Shield clubs, whether it be in a second division or something sort of system, it would benefit a lot of clubs. There's a lot of clubs knocking about with just one team who would be over the moon to be able to field a second one. And with us, we struggle to sometimes get our three teams out on the park. We'd love a little bit of help from the guys that aren't getting a run on at Gordon, who are sort of hanging around for the fifth division to hope they get a game. There needs to be some sort of chat between the Shoot Shield teams, the subbies teams, to spread the love, spread the players around. Because there's blokes that sign up and pay their fees every year, they're not getting a run. And then there's other blokes that sign up and pay their fees for another club, and they're playing 2-3 games a weekend just to get the club over the line. So yeah, there definitely needs to be something to strengthen the player numbers across the board.
Yeah, because I think that needs to happen. I know quite a few guys. There was guys I know quite well at Gordon, and they played fifth grade. They were playing fifth grade, but they only played like 4 games of the whole season. I mean, that to me that could have been an encouragement for those guys. Well, why don't you come back and play for a subbies club?
Yeah, definitely. And the opportunities there, I think with some of the prestige of saying you're associated with Gordon is maybe a bit more fashionable to some people than saying that you're involved with a 3rd or 4th division subbies club, regardless of what grade you're playing at Gordon. But I spent a bit of time helping out with the Gordon Colts and seeing them having a 4th grade Colts team that didn't get a run on the weekend because other clubs didn't have a 4th grade Colts team. Just the waste of talent sort of hanging around reserving for the 2nds and the 3rd grade Colts team, not even getting a run on the weekend when you got clubs like the Northern Saints, you got clubs like Wakehurst around the area, Chatswood, who would absolutely kill to have those players come on board, and they're just not even getting a game. So yeah, the conversation's definitely there to be had. It's whether or not the guys that are sort of playing shoot shield rugby want to help out with subbies rugby.
Yeah. So just along that, another issue, like, do you guys get impacted at all with rugby league in your area?
I don't think it's our biggest issue. AFL and soccer are far more a draw, especially at junior ages. So as most clubs in the North Shore, specifically 16s to 18s is a very difficult age group to fill.
Yeah.
You've got to leave rugby because players start to get too big and their parents are worried about injury. Then you've got players, obviously, in the private school competition who they're playing private schoolboys footy, so they're not allowed to play weekend footy. Then you've got the other kids who are focusing on their academics for those couple of years, so they leave rugby. And that's the killer point to transition from a junior rugby player into Colts. Sometimes that disconnect's made. So, it's the fight you have to even keep any of those players, and then the risk that they go and play soccer or AFL because they have their act together a bit better than rugby. At least that's the perception. I think that's our biggest worry. Rugby league in this area, there is some teams, but we don't have any players going the other way.
I'd say we've had more players come from rugby league clubs to St. Ives the Northern Saints than we've had go the other way. I don't necessarily know how their competition works, but it does seem like for the sort of the lower level players that the competitions in rugby league sort of drop away after 18s.
So how do you guys go in your local area with media engagement through papers like out west? You've got local radio and that get a bit of coverage. I'm not sure what it's like up your way. I know you had a couple of blokes used to play for you that were working for Fox Sports, so I don't know if you knew that, but I did. So thought they might be able to drum up a bit of extra attention for you with all the soccer, AFL and other union clubs and stuff.
We did. We had the Saints turn up to a what was that rugby show back day? Something like that was good. But we had them turn up to that. We used to get articles put in the North Shore Times and stuff, but print media is dead. Let's be honest. The best marketing to do is social media these days. That's the right target audience. I think so one of the things that we did a little bit different is set up a lot of roles on the management level, and rather than having 4 or 5 blokes do everything, you're probably familiar with him, but we've been lucky enough at this club to have a bloke named Graham Kennan, who's a life member of some. He's spent 45 years up here. He's the first one up here on game day and usually the last one to leave, unless you go past dinner time, then he's off. But he's had kids and grandkids play at this club, and he's lucky to have seen them play a game. His son's played 400 games for the clubs, and Graham's seen about 2 of them. So we're really lucky in that regard. But media for us is socials. I think TikTok's the new thing. Here, get your Colts, get on TikTok, boys.
Bit of dancing. So going back to like this year's season, Tristan, like you look at I noticed, I was reading today, like they've got your teams for 4th division, but they've still got a TBC, so that we're unknown. When can you guys tell me, when did Blacktown go up to 3rd division? Was that last year? Or was it
2 years ago?
Yeah,
2 years ago, because they weren't in.
No, last year they went up, and when we came down, they went up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So who's your main competition in fourth? Is it Brothers and Canterbury, or?
So again, we don't know what it's going to look like post-COVID and how many clubs lost players, but if you look at last year, Canterbury are going to be really competitive again. You know, they took Harlequins to the wire in their game. They're a pretty strong squad, good bunch of blokes as well. So they're going to be strong. Sydney Irish are competitive. We don't know what we're going to see out of Oatley, if what sort of teams they're going to have. Macquarie Uni, with the uni being closed again, they're not sure what their team's going to look like. Balmain, who knows? They came from second division, so you know they could be really good, or they could be like us a couple of years ago, where they're going to have a couple of tough years. So, you know, I think it's a pretty open division, and it's a great year to play half a season and give it your best shot. So, you know, we could be in there with a shot, or other clubs could just come out firing. We really don't know.
Yeah, I think this year's going to be an interesting one. It's obviously unprecedented times. We've never had a situation like this. Normally, it's just your pre-season trials and then bang, you're into the season. We got through a couple of trials and we're ready to kick off, and then the world fell apart. So yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see. We don't know how it's all going to play out. We don't know if the teams that we play against this year are going to be the same as what they were last year. I mean, we're hoping to be a better team. There's going to be clubs in the competition who are also hoping to be a better team, and then there's going to be clubs that are heavily invested in the backpacker market who are going to be short on numbers. There's going to be guys like Mac Uni who rely on students, and we don't know what their scenario is. So yeah, like Dave said, it's different. It'll be what it is, and yeah, once we play all the rounds and we've seen everyone, then we'll have a better idea what everyone's up to. But at the moment, it's yeah.
So are you guys getting any feedback? Like, have they given you any idea? Like, is it they're looking at maybe just one full round, or?
Yeah, we play everyone once and then go into finals. That's the structure. We don't know who the last team to come up and fill the division spot is, though.
So what Greg and myself have noticed in the last few weeks, chatting to the different clubs, and I chat to other clubs on the side from being involved in third division and stuff. This, where it looks like a massive weakness of some sports and stuff like that, a lot of balls up in the air at the moment. It's galvanised the clubs that are back together, got their stuff going. It sounds like it's galvanised you guys. You've got a very clear focus on what you want to achieve, how you're going to do it, and just waiting for the balls to be kicked so we can put it all in place. So would you say it's a fair assessment? Like,
yeah, definitely. We even before the whole COVID-19 situation, we came in with the clear idea that this was going to be a very much a year that we just take a step to improve on last year. We did heavy recruitment throughout the off season and managed to keep a lot of those guys engaged. So while training was shut down, while we weren't allowed to really do anything, we had the guys from Platinum PT who do our strength and conditioning here. They ran a few Zoom boot camp sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays for the guys to get involved in. So that helped keep some of the guys fit, keep them thinking about rugby. Our group chat with the rugby club is probably the most annoying thing in my life because it keeps going off, but the boys are all talking to each other all the time. Sometimes I wish they'd just message each other directly, but you know, it's good. It keeps everyone engaged. Everyone knows what's going on in everyone's life. We're a little family up here. We have fun, and yeah, this is just been a speed bump for us. The first Monday that we got back out, it bucketed down with rain. I couldn't believe that we had 30 something blokes up here. We needed extra coaches up here to split into groups to run drills. I didn't think we'd get 10 with the rain, but yeah, everyone's looking forward to it. So we're keen.
That sounds good. So Tristan, give us an idea of your coaching philosophy. Are you more of a attack-minded coach? Like, do you like more ball in hand, or are you a bit more kick pass, or what's your philosophy?
Just to come up here, Greg, and watch a few games, mate.
I will. Don't worry.
Every coach loves it when the boys have got the ball in hand and scoring tries. But I've always loved the defensive part of the game. I love the ball being in tight, rucks, mauls. I'm a forward. I love a good maul in the game. It's probably my favourite thing to watch. But I think the emphasis with us would be a lot on defence. If you're gonna lose a game, you'd rather lose it sort of 7-5 than you are gonna lose it 55-20. Defence is a big thing for me, and I think one of the most entertaining things for spectators to see someone really get smacked in defence. So why not?
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, I really appreciate your time tonight. It's been really a good insight into your club, and we really appreciate your time. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add before we sign off.
We appreciate you taking the time, and so anytime, we're always open to having a chat, and anyone else who wants to have a chat with us about some of the things we've done or how we can help other clubs and what they can do for us, we're open to it. Come up and enjoy our hospitality here after the game one day, mate.
You know, I definitely, like all the clubs I've been speaking to, like each week, I've definitely made my own commitment. I definitely will come out to watch some games because I appreciate the time you guys take to speak to us. So I really thank you again. Anything else, Matt?
No, so I'm just contemplating doing the gap and back, but I'm a bit like a Russian circus PRA. I'm not real good at
I
climbing.
encourage you to try it. Once you see it, I think you'll be quickly swallowing your words and taking a slow walk backwards out the door.
Well, you guys may not have seen Matt in person. He's a big man, so he might pull the ceiling down. I don't know.
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, guys, and all the best for the season. We'll
Thanks,
talk soon.
Thanks, Tristan. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, guys. Ta.